Welcome to day 15 of the 365-day transformation journey. Today I'm talking about triggers, specifically triggers that can cause us to do good habits in our lives. So this morning I woke up and basically went through this process this morning when I woke up, and that process ended with me running and then culminated with me finishing going to the gym. Now, what I've done is built a stack of habits that are back to back, each triggered by an action that I do in the morning. So automatic habits like brushing your teeth upon waking up are triggered actions. Ever since I was a little boy, when I wake up, the first thing I do is brush my teeth. So there is a trigger, which is waking up, and the consequent action is brushing my teeth. Now, this is a good one. So this is a good habit. The habit is brushing teeth. You should brush your teeth. So in this case, I have a good one. But there are many habits that I have that are bad, that are a long time of poor behavior built over a long period of time, so that when I go into autopilot mode throughout the day, kind of a mindless autopilot mode, I fall back into some of these very bad habits that I've had. Now, some of these habits are actions that I do, and some of these habits are emotional states I get myself in. But either way, it's a habit. Transformation journeys involve replacing those bad habits that you do on autopilot with good ones instead. Imagine how much different your life would be that instead of falling into bad habits by automatic routine every day, you fell into good habits. Now, this can happen, and it does happen, but it requires a mindful effort to do so. So triggers are the way to do this, in my opinion. Triggers are identifiable events or cues that match the frequency of the habit you're trying to implement. For example, I wanted to drink more water. I wanted to be more hydrated. So what I'm doing now is I fill a 16-ounce glass of water and I put it by my toothbrush. So when I wake up in the morning, that's my trigger. It causes me to brush my teeth. I'm now using that teeth brushing trigger to remind me to drink that 16-ounce glass of water. So my morning routine is now wake up, brush teeth, drink 16-ounce glass of water. So now that doesn't fully fulfill my hydration requirement. I need more water than that, but it certainly gets me to a good start. So you can create chains of triggers to really cause self-improvement. I call this the habit stack. So when I wake up in the morning and I brush my teeth and I drink that glass of water, I also now have some supplements that I take every morning next to that glass of water. Brush teeth, drink glass of water, take supplements. And so another thing I've been doing is putting my running clothes ready to go out, sitting there on my bathroom counter. I do that the night before. So my whole event stack in the morning is wake up, brush teeth, drink a glass of water, take supplements, and then right there next to where I keep the little jar where I have my supplements, I have my running clothes. So the next habitual action is just simply put on my running clothes. No excuses, no complaining. This is just a trigger that causes me to do that. Triggers are not just a personal thing. They also come into effect in the business world. Bad habits can seriously hinder the progress of a company that's trying to do great things. So when a company sets out to make transformative change, they will be destroyed by the culture of that business if they're not careful. And that culture of the business is usually the backbone of any culture is based on things that people habitually do without even thinking about it. For example, I've battled for years. Some salespeople have this habitual practice of lowering the price the first time a customer has an objection. This is a bad habit. We should not do that, but it happens. My best example is scheduling meetings with clients. So it used to be I had this problem where I'd schedule a client meeting and then a week would go by and the meeting would come up and I'd be unprepared. And worse, during the meeting, I would take notes and then I would forget one or two of the notes or what they meant, and I couldn't remember what to follow up on when I needed to. So what I started doing, and this is now a habit for me, when I schedule a client event, I automatically schedule a prep call, a 15 to 20 minute prep call, and then I schedule a 15 to 20 minute after action review. So I preload those into my calendar every time I schedule a client meeting. This way, the act of preparation and the act of reviewing the call after it's done are built into my calendar item. This has become a good habit for me because it automatically reminds me to do those two critical tasks, which I don't know why it's so hard to remember to do those, but it just is. So you don't want to be mindless. Mindless activity with bad habits is really bad for you. So there's probably things you're doing in your day-to-day life. I know it is for me, where I just mindlessly go about stuff, and I'll find myself standing in front of the cupboard, looking at a box of cookies. It's like, what the heck am I doing? Why am I doing this? But that's just what we do when we're in mindless mode. We just go through the motions. We do what we always do, and that's not always good. So using triggers, we can start to replace what normally triggers a bad habit with something that can now trigger a good habit. Let me give you an example. I have a thing that I probably learned as a child. I don't know where I got it from, but I have this comfort thing where when I watch TV with my family or friends, I feel like I have to be eating a sugary or salty snack. This is destructive for me because I'll be sitting there watching TV and a zombie snack eating machine, and by the time I'm done watching whatever show, I'll consume more calories than I definitely need to consume that day. So this is a problem, right? I mean, I have a trigger. Watching TV causes bad action. So what I've started to try to do is replace that with a glass of ice water, because now drinking the glass of ice water and chewing on the ice is kind of a tactile thing that helps replace the craving for the sugary snacky food. And also I try to put fruit in there instead. So now when I watch TV, I'm trying to build the trigger where before I watch TV or watch the show, I need to go get some fruit and get a glass of ice water. Now I have a healthy habit following the trigger. There are many different types of triggers that you can consider. There's time-based triggers, which basically is a certain time during the day, you have a trigger that goes off. You can actually program your phone to trigger you at different times with different ringtones. So when I hear the little bird sound, I know it's time to get up and walk outside, because I've learned that being outside in the sunshine really helps my mood, because I have this problem where my mood goes south pretty quickly if I'm not careful. So if I set an alarm on my phone and I have bird sounds associated with it, whenever I hear the bird sounds, that's my trigger to go outside, which is a good habit for me to do. You also have location-based triggers. So depending on where you're at, like I used to have this really bad habit that when I would go to this gas station, the Chevron gas station down the street, I had this bad habit. Every time I pulled up into the Chevron gas station, I had this trigger to go in there and buy something. And that something was usually bad, like a really caffeinated energy drink or sugary snack, or even a really calorie-loaded protein bar. None of those were good for me to do, and just bad for me. So I've had to work on that as a trigger because it's a location-based trigger. So I'm trying to replace that desire to do something not so good with something good. So now I go to a different gas station, and that gas station, they have healthy snacks there. So I'm now when I go to that gas station, I'm triggered to always want to get something. So I'm getting a nice low cost, fruit or something along those lines. You also have event-based triggers. So like watching TV was an event, or watching a sporting event is an event, or getting in your car to drive, which is a big one for me. That is an event. I always feel like I have to be drinking or eating something when I get in the car. So that's an event-based trigger. You also can build in visual triggers, so little sticky notes or signs. I have a poster in my office that reminds me of something that I need to do. So you should always have something that reminds you of what you need to do every day. And so that's a great thing to do. So I have a notebook that I keep for my 365 commitment. I put that in a specific place that I know that I'm going to see it at a certain time in the day. And that's the time when I focus on my goals for the day. Finally, there's emotional triggers, and these are the hard ones. And this is my most difficult one. I have this bad habit of allowing certain thoughts to cause me anxiety. And then I dwell on it, and it causes me more anxiety. This is an emotional trigger. And so usually it happens towards the end of the day. I start to feel tired. And then I get emotional, right? So instead of doing that now, what I'm trying to do is when I start to feel that anxiety feeling, which I've gotten very used to, that's a trigger for me to do something else. Get up and go walk outside. Get up and take the dogs for a walk. Get up and maybe do a small chore that I've been avoiding. Anyway, if that triggers me, that anxiety feeling should trigger me to do something different than what I'm doing now. Anyway, to conclude, you can create, by being mindful and consciously associating good behaviors with triggers, you can dramatically improve your life. Now, I have a couple of tips to make sure you don't get crazy here. First off, you should start with very small improvements. If you try to take on too much, you'll fail. Technology and automation can be really helpful, but be careful. Because if you spend way too much time investing in the technology, you'll forget to actually do the habit. So what I do is I try to work on automation after I've been doing it for a long period of time, like 90 days, 180 days. After I've been doing the habit for that long, I'm now ready for automation. I now know exactly what I need to automate. And so, but be patient. Be patient with yourself. You're going to fail. You're going to go back to your bad habits. It happens all the time. Be okay with that. Okay, I fell back into my bad habit. Why did I do that? Okay, what can I do to make sure that I replace that with a good habit? And then finally, just be persistent. The worst thing you can do is give up, because you'll give up and then you'll fall back into the bad habits and you'll be exactly where you were before. And believe me, I've done that thousands of times. So I'm just trying to force myself to always keep persistent, even when I fail. So establishing good habits through triggers, I think, is one of the most powerful tools for professional and personal development. So good luck.